The 100 series Land Cruiser is notorious for leaking in the rear cargo area. Most people on the forums suggest that it's this trim piece right here that has the leak, and so I went ahead and replaced that. But unfortunately, I still had the leak about 12 months later. So upon further investigation, I actually found out that it's this weather strip that was causing the issue. And in this video, I'll show you how I replaced it and give you a few tips and tricks along the way. Once I figured out that the leak wasn't coming from the trim piece, I still wasn't exactly sure where it was coming from. After running water over the rear hatch for a few minutes though, I was able to see a small bead of water forming, and at that point it was obvious that the water was coming through the weather strip. But it still wasn't exactly clear what the ingress point was. I followed the water around the weather strip until I could find what I think is the culprit. I'm pretty sure that it's the cable from this XM satellite radio that caused the leak. Alright, so let's get into replacing these seals. I bought two new seals. One is for the outside hatch where the leak was, and the other one is just this smaller seal that actually wasn't causing any problem, but I figured while I was at it, I might as well replace that as well. This is super easy to replace. You can just go around and remove the rubber. The only note for you is pay attention to the color of the clips on the top and bottom. Mine were white on the top, green on the bottom, and that'll just help you orient the new strip as you're replacing it. And comparing the new weather strip to the old one, although it wasn't causing any particular issues, the new weather strip is obviously a lot firmer, a lot more plush, and the rear hatch closes a lot more firmly after replacing it. So now I'll go ahead and remove all of the old clips, clean that area up the best I can, and then I'll go ahead and install the weather strip. So here I'm just going around and pushing in all of the clips on the upper center and lower center part. Once you have all those clips fastened, I just needed to go make one more pass along the bottom and tuck in any of the extra rubber underneath this trim piece here. And with that, you just have the corners, and there's a small adhesive strip to remove, and then you can push those clips in. Super easy, no big deal, no big notes for you here. And with that out of the way, now I'll get started on the main weather strip. First, I'm removing this cargo trim piece. They're just a few Phillips screws, and then I'm using a trim removal tool to pry that up. It had actually rained recently when I made this video, and I'll show you what it looks like when the water is kind of getting underneath the cargo area. So you can see some of the moisture accumulating here, and this is actually not that bad. There have been cases when it was actually quite wet underneath that cargo area. Okay, now I'll get started on removing the actual weather strip. So I'll keep all this footage so you can see what I was seeing. The first thing I was noticing was this little bit of adhesive here. So I wasn't sure when I was installing this if I needed to apply any special adhesive. I didn't see anything in the FSM that suggested that I should have. And after installing it and it keeping the rear area dry for, I don't know, the last 6 or 12 months, I think it's fine, but use your own discretion with this. So now I'm just going around and slowly pulling the weather strip away. What you see here is this trim piece on the left and right side. I think that you should actually just go ahead and remove those trim pieces. Definitely remove them before you try to install the new weather strip. It'll make your life a lot easier. And going around, I was just finding different points where it looked like water was starting to creep through. Definitely in that area where the XM wire is. It was pretty obvious that that's where water was coming through. But there were definitely other points too, as I was going around, where it was questionable if water was starting to sneak around. And maybe as these age, it's just something that happens to this vehicle. I don't know. So with that removed, now I'm just going around and cleaning up that area pretty well. There was a ton of just dirt and debris all along the bottom and sides, and even a couple places where there might have been a little bit of rust starting to happen. So yeah, just make sure and get that as clean as possible so that your new seal is going to seat well. Here's a closer look at where the XM cable is coming through. You can see whoever installed this filed a little notch in the metal, and I'm pretty sure that that's where the water is coming through. Anyway, I didn't anticipate this is what I was going to find, so I'm kind of improvising here. Your mileage may vary, but what I did is just use a little dab of FIPG and then try to smooth that out and let it cure before I installed the new weather strip. And I also went around the entire metal strip just to make sure there weren't any obvious places of damage or anywhere where I thought water would be able to make it through. This was pretty much the only place. And now the new seal is marked on the top and bottom, and I believe on the sides with a little paint mark. So what I would recommend is when you're removing the old weather strip, don't get too excited and just pull the whole thing off right away. I would say remove it slowly and try to take a look at where the marks are on the old one, and also notice on the two corners where there's a little bit of extra reinforcement, which I'm showing right here, and that will just help you get the alignment right. And the last tip that I have is, I know I said it earlier, but I would just go ahead and remove those left and right trim pieces and this upper trim piece here. And that's going to make it a lot easier to be able to push the new seal up against that metal. And that's kind of the key thing that you want to do here, especially if you're not using any special sealant inside of the seal. You really want to make sure that the weather strip is pushed firmly up against the metal there. So in order to do that, I would just say remove the trim pieces, and you don't have to take it off all the way. Here on the side, I'm just showing that I loosened that one up, and I think there's just one screw to remove, and then you can kind of pull the trim away just to give yourself some space to work with. When you're installing this weather strip or any seal, really, it's always easiest to just push perpendicular to the surface that you're installing it on, meaning instead of seating the seal and then pushing alongside of it, what will end up happening is that rubber will stretch and then it will bunch up unevenly at different points. So when you're installing this, you just want to kind of get the seal over that metal edge, and then you want to just push straight into the metal edge and then just work slowly around the seal. And I think you'll have much better results and luck doing that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys found that helpful. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.